Well, good afternoon to you, and welcome into Fox Orlando Live, streaming on fox35orlando.com, the Fox 35 News app, and on Fox Local. I am joined this afternoon by Fox 35's John Brown. And John, the big story today, a lot of people have been talking about it, the arrest of not just a golfer, but the #1 golfer in the world right now.
Yeah, far and above everybody else at this point. And what's also interesting about this is, of course, we're talking about Scottie Scheffler, arrested before the beginning of day 2 of the PGA Championship today. So in addition to the shock of a player being arrested before the event, this is also one of the guys who is known as the good guy on the course. I mean, he's one of those guys, squeaky clean image, was a great college golfer, great on the Korn Ferry Tour, and just is one of those guys where I think that's the most shocking part of it all, that it's him. And so, yeah, some serious charges, 4 charges in all right now. And so, but even after he had the charges, had his mug shot before his tee shot today, even with all that, he still played an amazing round of golf, and he's now tied for 3rd place. Shot 5 under today. Birdied the first hole, even after being detained by police and only getting about 45 minutes to warm up today.
Unreal. We are looking at his booking photo right now. Now, the PGA Championship playing at Valhalla this weekend in Louisville, Kentucky. And there was a deadly pedestrian accident there this morning. And so some roadblocks, some police directing traffic out there. And it sounds like at some point in that situation, he did something that they didn't want him to.
Yeah, so here's the story, and of course we'll see if this plays out, because there's going to be video of this somewhere, whether it's police officer video, body cam images, or other people who are just around. But this fatal crash there had shut down traffic. Well, he wanted to get to the course to start his routine, which is about a 2-hour routine. When he was at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, I was out there on the tee box with some of those guys as they were there on the driving range, and some of the other guys were joking and laughing. Not Scottie Scheffler. He was so tuned in for about an hour before he teed off, and was not a part of he said good morning to everybody, but that was it. I mean, so he has his routine just like a lot of other pro athletes. So he wanted to get there to start his 2-hour routine. Well, he thought the officers were waving for him to come around. Apparently they were saying stop. These are his words anyway. So he went kind of into the median, went around the police officers. One tried to stop him, and that officer reportedly got dragged about 20 feet and tore his pants, I think is what they said, $80 in damages. So it doesn't sound like that much, but anytime a police officer is involved, that's how you get these charges, including a felony. We're talking 2nd-degree assault of an officer, 3rd-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals. He says it was a big misunderstanding, but even with that, he's now facing these 4 charges, which are pretty serious. So he was able to bond out, get to the course with 40 minutes until his tee time, and teed off and had a good round. So we'll see how it plays out. It may have been a misunderstanding, but even with a misunderstanding, he could still be facing charges. Now, in my history of covering these kind of things, in a case like this, you do charge high, and then you can always back off. Whether they end up going further with these, I don't know. But that's where it is right now.
He did. We are looking at his statement right now, express apologies, saying he never intended to disregard any of the instructions, and offering his sympathies to the family of the man who passed away. But as you mentioned, he was released. He still teed off this morning, and this is a look at the live leaderboard right now. He's tied for 3rd.
It's really amazing. Again, one of the things that I was thinking when I heard about this story is how intense these guys are, and for you to have your routine broken up like this and still come out and do what he did today, it just shows that he's on a different level. Now, what I think could be really interesting by the end of all this is if he wins this tournament. You think about it, he's going to have a mug shot from the weekend of the PGA Championship, and he may win this whole thing, and so he'll win another major. So there's so much wrapped up into this one story, and quite frankly, we haven't had somebody this dominant and #1 like this since Tiger Woods. And so, I mean, people are already starting to make comparisons. Totally different story, but it is interesting to see how somebody this high up can have an incident where it's like, how's he going to recover from this? Right now, it doesn't seem to be bothering him.
And John, just a little bit ago, you spoke with a PGA professional about the situation today and how it really hasn't even hurt Scheffler's play. Let's listen to that.
Brendan, good to see you once again. Now, did it surprise you at all when you heard that there was a PGA player arrested today and then you find out it's the good guy, Scottie Scheffler? What were your thoughts when that happened?
Yeah, of all the guys on tour, not that I would suspect any of them to be in a situation like that, but Scottie was far and above the last guy on that list I would have suspected.
Yeah, and it is a surprise because he is a good guy image. And we know there are some guys who you might suspect more than him. But now it sounds like a misunderstanding. So let's talk from a PGA player standpoint. These guys, explain what goes into getting ready for a round. I think that'll help people understand why this is so bizarre for him to be playing like he is today.
Well, all these guys have a routine that they go through, and it's not like you and I go onto the course and hitting balls for 15 minutes before we tee it up. These guys, they have a 2-hour process. Some of them longer, where it's part, the fitness protocols that they run through, hitting on the range for 45 minutes or so, and then practicing short games. So with him having to rush from where he was to the golf course, and having, from what I understand, only about 40 minutes or so, it's against his normal routine. So that would, in theory, throw anybody off, but not Scottie, not today.
Yeah, I got to see him when he was actually here for the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and the other guys are joking around. Boy, he is just laser focused. So of all the people who probably has a routine, much like Major League Baseball players, this is the guy that likes to stick to what he does, because there was nothing that was going to interrupt him during the warm-up here in Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, for him to go out, and I think right now he's got a couple holes left and he's a few under at this time in the afternoon. You got to think of all the things that separates him from all the rest of the guys on the tour. It's not the ball striking, it's not the short game, it's not the putting, it's his ability to just take things as it is and separate what happens off the golf course and what's happening between the ropes.
I think the most surprising thing for me is, like, when I show up, and you're better than me, obviously, but when I show up, I meet the guys, it's 5 minutes before I throw on some shoes. I maybe take 2 swings and then try and tee off. So this guy only has a few minutes, and sure enough, hole number 1, he birdies it. So these guys really are a different level of creature when it comes to playing the game.
Absolutely. And Scottie has just set himself to that Tiger-esque level of what he's been doing the last couple of years. And, this is a bizarre incident that he's going through today, but I think that captures even more so how head and shoulders above the rest of the guys he is mentally to win championships.
When you see a guy like him playing right now, because he's at the top, there's nobody even close to him, in my opinion, right now, and I think the numbers back that up. And it reminds me of Tiger back in the day, although Scottie has a long ways to go. When you see a guy like this who is so dialed in, playing so well, and then go through something like this, what do you look for that maybe the average person watching the game wouldn't even notice?
Some of the things I was looking for specifically with him is he's had a bulky putter. It's been documented well, but he's kind of nipped that in the bud the last couple tournaments. So I was looking for that. If there's any nerves that were going to be shown based on what happened this morning, I would have seen it on the green with the flat stick, and I didn't see that at all so far.
So mentally, you deal with these guys also on that level too. What's different on the mental game for those guys than it is for the rest of us?
I think why they separate themselves mentally from, you and I or the average golfer is the fact that the mental side is part of what they practice. It's part of the routine. And we as amateurs or as lowly, driving range pros as myself, we just don't really focus on that side of the game as much as these guys do. And they've done it from a young age, so it's become second nature for the guys and, the ladies that are on the LPGA Tour as well.
I actually got to play with a guy who played the Masters recently, and he said something to me that blew me away. And I think this will stick with everybody when they hear it. He said, I was asking him the same kind of thing. What's the difference between me and these kind of guys? And he said, think about the best shot that you've ever made in your life. That's an average shot. That's every shot they make. And then they have a great shot that's so much better than anything you can ever do. So my best shot that I've ever made is probably just normal for them. Is that what you find too?
Yeah, but the thing that for me that's more interesting, and I try to impart this on the team players that are competitive that I work with, it's not really about your best shots. It's about how you are able to come back from those bad shots. And those guys are they're the best in the world, and that's the reason why they can get up and down when they miss a green. An OB, they tend to be able to bounce back from that and make a couple birdies, and that's just where we lack is normal everyday golfers.
Well, Brendan, I played this morning, and it probably would have been better had I been arrested. It would have been a better morning for me. That's kind of the way mine was. So, hey, by the way, in case people want to check you out, you're a PGA pro. What's your website so people can check you out?
BrendanElliott.com.
All right, we'll put it up on the web. Thanks, man. Do appreciate it, and we'll hope to talk to you soon. Maybe play with soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John.
He's a good guy.
Fun conversation there.
Yeah, it was.
But it really is interesting how players like that can just set themselves apart in ways like that.
I mean, the same thing you see, as good as these NBA players are, that's how good these guys are on the golf course. So it's amazing to watch. So, but we'll see. We'll see the weekend coming up here. We'll see how he recovers and if he's able to pull this thing off after a mug shot on day 2 of this PGA Championship.
A bizarre way to start the day, for sure.
No question.
All right, John, thanks.
All right.